Hello, hi there. Thank you for coming back. Welcome to another studio vlog. And today we are having a chat on the yellow chair, as you can see. Today I want to talk about why you should start an Etsy shop if you are a creative, if you have a talent, if you want to be your own boss, and if you are bored at home because of quarantine. For whatever the reason may be, I think that you should start an Etsy shop, and I would like to share with you what I have learned throughout my 2 years of Etsy. And I have some notes here because I am not very good at remembering everything, so I planned out specifically what I wanted you to know from me. I have, as mentioned on my other videos, I've illustrated and started selling Etsy for 2 years already. Before that, I taught English from home. I started teaching from home, and I was also selling on Etsy my illustrations. And the reason why I'm saying that you should start your Etsy business is because Etsy is a very easy platform to use. It requires a lot of research and diligence before you begin your business, but I think that if you are kind of already on the path of being business oriented or self-employed oriented, and you are a problem solver, you can open your own business. And I want to give you 8 different reasons of why first. So let's begin with why. Okay, so reason number 1, you should start using Etsy as your platform to sell your products, because Etsy is a marketplace that already has thousands and millions of subscribers or users that already purchase items from Etsy. And it is also a well-known legitimate website where people can have confidence that their money is going to be used for the purpose of their purchase. The buyer can be assured that their purchase is not going to be a scam, because Etsy will hold the seller accountable for their sale. It's a safe place for them, and I think that when you don't have any reputation out there, you know, you can do it from the comfort of your home, here and there, to sell a product that you make. What can you sell on Etsy? Etsy allows you to sell items that are vintage, handmade, craft tools, items that are unique, like plants. I know that because my husband sells plants. Also goods that are made. You cannot sell things that are not made by you or not customized by you. Another reason why you should open an Etsy shop is because maybe you are able to be your own boss. Maybe you do have the ability to be your own boss and you do not know that yet. So give it a try. Give it a try as a hobby, productive, and who knows, you might even realize that you can be your own boss. So think about what you know how to do, what you've done in the past, what you think you can do. I'll give you an example. My husband was a PRN, which is on-call nurse at a nursing home, for years and years before we got married. And then when we got married, we decided to teach online because we wanted to participate in volunteer activity. So we started doing that, and it was great for a long time before quarantine. Also for some time before we had our baby. But then after he caught COVID and he had to be quarantined at home, and then he was just not ready to go back to the nursing home because he wanted to do something that he always enjoyed doing, which is gardening and landscaping. Who would have thought that hobby would have turned into a business for him? So what he did was he decided, we both talked about it, and we decided to open a shop for him where he would include selling plants that we already owned, we had already propagated, and where we would also include landscaping and gardening services locally. He saw that as an opportunity to start his own business. Along with that, we had a collection of large plants that we had had for a long time. And so far, you know, with God's blessing, of course, it has become our source of income. Really, my job, which is just my illustrations, my Etsy shop, along with his landscape and gardening company, small one-person owned company. So that's one reason why I think you should do it, because you don't know what you may already have in time. Of course, if you plan it and you don't see that now, maybe in the future, but I would like to give you this tool because past Elie would have appreciated that. Next is how. How can you start an Etsy shop? It takes a lot of effort. It really does. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of planning. You have to plan monthly, weekly, and daily. Why? Well, I would say monthly because you have to bring sales. And the way we think about it, and I say we because it's important to plan what your goals are. So if you quit your job and you're making $400 a week, I don't know, maybe you're making more, but if you're making $400 a week and you quit your job, you better make sure that you either have a savings in case those $400 don't come into your bank account because of your self-employment income, or that your self-employment income makes that and maybe 25% more, because there might be a week that you don't make it. Excuse me. Coffee break. By the way, this will probably be another collection that I will make sometime soon. I did not make this, but I think Plant Lady is a very good collection theme. So plan ahead and have a mindset. Once you start your shop, have the mindset of how much do I want to make every month. Then break it down weekly. How much do I have to make to pay my rent, to pay my utilities, to pay my car notes, extra necessities, things in case that you know, I have an emergency, a car emergency, like, because I don't have a steady paycheck like I used to before. So that's one thing that I encourage you. If you start an Etsy shop, if you already have a craft, you know that you want to start something, I would suggest start with Etsy, and I'll talk about it a little bit ahead. But I would plan on a monthly basis. How much do I want to make? Then break it down weekly. How much do I have to sell? And break it down by purchasing, by your how much is the cost for my supplies, how much, you know, of revenue do I have to make clean, and every now and then am I able to bring in just new items to my collection of products that I sell, so that I can have a little bit of extra income so that I can save, and then maybe, you know, have some extra funds in case of an emergency. Okay, so tip number one, you're ready to start your Etsy shop. You want to start an Etsy shop. Choose a name for your business. Make sure the name is easy to recognize, it is relatable to your business, and it's not somebody else's business name. You can check on Etsy. Etsy will tell you there's another account with this business name, and it will even tell you like suggestions to add if you're selling cupcakes, you know, like Elie's Cupcakes or Elie's Candy Apples, simple things like that. Sometimes we want to get really creative with the name, and at the end of the day, the name is so creative that it's hard to pronounce, it's hard for people to remember. I decided to choose that as an identification of who I wanted to be, the personality of a meek, mild-tempered, and kind animal, which is a sheep. So, and then Elie, I wanted to add my name because the name Chic Sheep is actually taken by a yarn company, a company that sells yarn, I believe. So I didn't want it to be I wanted to be attached to my name, so that people might at least just recall my name with the business name as well. Also, after you choose your business name, make sure that when you are home, choose a space at home where you will be making your product. Yes, very important. Okay, we were living in a townhome, and then for a couple of months we had to move in with my parents because we couldn't find a home big enough for the three of us after I gave birth. So the townhome where we lived had 2 bedrooms. It didn't have a workspace, but I had a small corner where I would teach, and it was like half of my living room area that was also part of my Etsy space, where I had a couple of bookshelves and a couple of tables where I would create and craft. And I also had 1 Cricut at that time. Now I have 2. And as I grew and as I was getting more orders, I was able to grow the space where I was working. This is your nook, or this is your sanctuary, where you can concentrate in planning for your business, where you can have your computer, where you can drink your warm tea or coffee or your green smoothie, whatever you like, and where you dedicate the time to work, where you clock in and clock out of work. So I think that's very important. It has helped me be more productive, because that's where I clock in, and then when I clock out, I dedicate time to clean my house, to take care of my baby, and I leave work in that corner. You also need the technology. If you want to start an Etsy shop, I would suggest to start with your phone, with your computer, with a printer. A computer and a printer will be very, very essential. You can do it from your phone and a printer, or if you have a friend that can lend you a printer, because you will be able to print shipping labels from the Etsy website and mark items as completed, and also update your online shop and your products through Etsy. So those are the 2 things that I would essentially say you will need once you open the website for Etsy. Etsy is pretty self-explanatory as far as, okay, before you open your website, what is it that you're selling? Where are you located? I'm located in the US, state of Kentucky. I am going to sell illustrations, and I will be choosing a name, and then start listing products that you will be selling. After you've opened your website, which I suggest do it as soon as you know what you're going to sell, just so that you can you don't have to list anything to sell. You open a site as a seller, and basically what you're telling Etsy is, I'm hoping to, you'll start your website with Etsy, and you will reserve that name so that nobody else, kind of steals the idea from you. And it just kind of prolongs the goal that you had to open a shop. Spread the word with your family and friends. That's another tip I had. Yes, spread the word. My family was very supportive, and my friends were very supportive. I think your family and friends will probably be the first people that buy from you. It's always the case. My brothers, again, like I said, they have their own contracting business with remodeling homes. So they were the first ones who said, hey, can you make my logo? Can you make us, products for us, like shirts and mugs to give to their customers, pens, totes. I've been able to do that for them, mugs as gifts to them. I made a few pins that were enamel pins, and one of my friends was attending an international convention, and she wanted to give them as gifts, and said, can you make a certain design for me, and can you make it in a large quantity? And I was like, yes, of course. I was very happy and excited. Thank you, Caro, for that. That was the largest order I'd ever had on my first year of selling button pins and illustrations. So I drew this pin for her, and I ended up making like 500 for her, because it was for her and another one of her friends that was in Texas, and they were very happy about it. So I mean, till this day she keeps buying things from me and sharing it with others. So it's very encouraging when your friends and your family are there to support you. So I always like to encourage ones to start their business this way, because I know that if you have a talent and that you felt at the beginning, my employer was not as, it's not making me happy as much as I wanted to be. I wanted to spend more time with my husband and my baby, and I was teaching online and I was teaching crazy hours. Like, it was a good job. I cannot say bad things about the job, but I sometimes felt like my students were quite the priority for the school, whereas I was not as much a priority. And I mean, that's understandable. The student was to just do it. So like I said, start your website, choose your name, know what you're gonna sell, open your website. Don't list anything until you plan, until you have your supplies, until you know how much cost it's gonna break down to. Etsy has a lot of different links that help you to break down the cost, and Etsy will tell you how much they charge you for the listing, how much they're going to charge when somebody buys something from you, how much estimated you should charge for shipping. Everything, all the tools that you need will be on the website. I can give you my advice from what I've learned throughout the 2 years, which fluctuates all the time. I know there's people out there that have like workshops for you to keep learning, and I would take some myself to learn, but I don't think it always applies to every business and every type of store. You know, like I said, bubble wrap, shipping paper, tape, glue, things like that. And my parents, my brothers sometimes provide things like that for me, so I don't always add that as the cost for shipping. It doesn't always apply to me, but it's helpful for you to know where to buy your shipping supplies. Amazon is a great place for that. And as I said, if you already know what you're gonna sell, start selling it with your friends, or when you open your shop, do a little bit of research as far as shipping cost and supplies. And also, once you start your shop, make sure that your pictures are legible. Make sure your pictures are centered. Look into other shops and see how they take their pictures. I would like to show you a little bit of pictures that I take, and I will post them in this video, of what I use as props around the items. For instance, sticker sheets. I like to put staplers, pens, pencils, maybe notebooks, which are items that are related to stickers if you're using it for journaling. Also greeting cards, I like to put them next to items that are similar in color, similar in a proportion that can help the viewer, the customer, see what size it will be, because I can say, oh, it's an A7, A2, but most people don't know the exact look of an A2 and A7 size greeting card. So I think it's important to make sure that you have good pictures. I am not the person to talk about good pictures, but I've learned from other shops that I admire, that I think are doing well, and that have very clean, aesthetically pleasing pictures. Don't have pictures that have shadows or that have things that are totally unrelated. So I wouldn't be selling candy apples and then putting a picture of a candy apple next to a plate, just a random plate, or, you know, just like put it on a table with nothing around it. I mean, aesthetically pleasing pictures also are very clean looking, but they are centered and they are inviting. So when you have a picture like the lattes that McDonald's sells, that are, you know, during now fall, pumpkin spice lattes, which are my favorite, And you know, Starbucks, you see that they have fall leaves, they have inviting pictures where people can actually visualize them holding that warm cup, and maybe sprinkles of nutmeg and cinnamon or cinnamon sticks around them next to a muffin, something that's inviting. Also, the image is centered. You know, typically when they show it a product on a commercial or when you see it on an ad. So that is huge, I would say. Your branding, make sure you have. Why you should hear this from me? Well, I don't know. I think that you should take the advice that I'm giving you, because I've done it for 2 years, and pretty much this business has paid our bills, and it has made me very, very happy. I am very happy to wake up every morning knowing that I am solely responsible for my duties. That I can say, well, today I'm not feeling well, or today is always sick, so instead of starting at 10 a.m. I will start at 12 p.m. or we're planning on, I don't know, doing something around the house, and I don't have to do it at specifically this time. However, I do start my days mainly at 5 or 6 a.m. because I like to take those hours of the day which are the most productive and work as much as I can. So by the time Zoe wakes up, which is around 10:30 or 12, I can dedicate most of the day to her. And you know, sometimes she wants to play with us, or sometimes she wants us to be sitting in the ground with her and singing with her. So we try to dedicate as much time, which to me is the most valuable thing. If I can have a job that just pays the bills, but in return gives me time with my. So if you stayed this far into the video, thank you. Subscribe, consider subscribing. I know I took a while from my last video to post again, but I promise this time I'm gonna try to be more consistent. I have so much footage. I just had that art block this week where I couldn't relate to my art, and then I found out about the theft that my dad went through, so it was quite discouraging. But then I had a really nice walk on the bridge. We have, even though we were social distanced, but we were still in a group, and there was a lot of open space, and they're stay-at-home moms, so they hardly ever go out anywhere too. They really needed some company, human company, and encouragement. Really, we all need it. I mean, I love Zoom meetings with my friends, but I really enjoyed that. So think about what I mentioned, making a fundraiser for Dad. I don't know what to do to help, and I'm, you know, the business that my husband and I run is not like a multi-million-dollar business that I can just hand out $2,000 to recover the cost of his tools. But if I could support in the process of that for him to regain most of his tools, I really want to do it. I think it's horrible that people can just take something that is part of your livelihood during this pandemic and not think that you're not just stealing tools from a guy from a truck. It's his livelihood. You know, possibly tomorrow he may not be able to go out and work, but that's just the way the system works. Thank you for watching, for staying with me. It is getting late here in Kentucky, and my husband and I have some plans for dinner, so at home, of course, with our baby. And thank you very much Muchas gracias, bonne nuit, buenas noches, and may you have a good rest of the week. See you next time. Au revoir.